Hi, and thank you for joining our discussion this afternoon here live on Joy News Television. Now, it's called many names such as dampness, rising damp, or in other instances said capillary rise. Its adverse effect on buildings is unsightly. Of course, water is a major contributing factor, but we get to understand the other factors that can also possibly lead to the development of this defect on building. Lastly, we will get to understand the preventive and correct treatment for rising damp this afternoon. In focus today, we are looking at rising damp and its treatment. In the meantime, let me tell you about this juicy offer coming from Star Properties. Star Properties, in partnership with Advanced Construction and Development, have developed over 100 custom-built houses, all tailored to your desire within the Lakeside Community Edge. The guarantee with buying a 3 or 2 bedroom house within this community is that you get to have a 24/7 security. It's actually a gated community with high-speed fiber MTN internet connectivity. Above all, it has 3 recreational parks where you get to have that leisure experience and also the boating experience on the waters right here in the middle of Accra. So my question for you today is, tell me, what do you think are the contributing factors that cause this rising damp defect we mostly see on buildings? This, once again, is the Pyramid Show. We take a break here. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Emmanuel Owusu Ansa, and once again, this is the Pyramid Show, your #1 tele-construction guy show, the place where you find all your answers to your challenge about your building, houses, road, and communities, so forth and so forth. In the studio today, I have with me Mr. Godfred Ampofo. He is the project manager for Skatecom Ghana Limited. They are the sole distributors of the Zypes product, and architect Dr. Joe J. Dankwa, and he joins us via Zoom from Kumasi. He's a senior research scientist and a principal architect. He is with CSIR, that is Building Road and Research Institute in Kumasi. Gentlemen, thank you for making time with us. Let me start off with you, Doc. Doc, the confusion about this description for this defect, others calling it dampness, others call it rising damp. In other instances, they are saying capillary rise. What is the differentiation between these names? Hello, Doc. Doc, please unmute so that we can hear you. Hello, Doc. If you can hear me, please unmute.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Doc. Please go on.
Yeah, good afternoon to your cherished listeners. I'm glad to be part of this discussion because it's very important as it pertains to the building construction industry. It is important because it's causing a mess in the landscape, okay, of the building environment. Okay, so you were talking about confusion. Perhaps it might not be confusion, but it depends on how people put it in which context, okay. But if I want to explain what is a rising damp, then simply in a simple man's term, we are talking about water that is rising, okay, in a structure. Okay, so if we are talking about buildings, then we are talking about the upward movement of moisture from the ground up, okay, through the building fabric, be it the walls, be it the concrete or the structural members. So in simple terms, this is what is called a rising damp, okay? But as you rightly said, that there have been a lot of terminologies that people associate with it. Yes, you're talking about dampness, people also talk about moisture, people are also talking about condensation, even efflorescence, okay? And then capillary action. All of these are associated with the rising damp, or in one way or another, they contribute to it in terms of how the effect is felt within a particular space or structure. So if you permit me to explain the various terminologies or how people term it,
sure,
I can go ahead with that.
Yes, surely, Doctor, we are going to permit you. But in a bit, you shall be seeing on your screens pictures of what we are talking about, to be rising damp. Doctor, please go on.
Okay, all right. So when we are talking about dampness, we are simply talking about a surface that is wet, Okay, so it's more or less like condition of a surface. It can be on the surface of your structure, be it the wall, or within it that is actually exposing on the surface that you see in terms of visualization. So that's the presence of water, okay, within your structure itself. And that's why we say the surface is moist. So you can have your building or your wall being moist or being damp in that kind of sense. That actually indicates that there is an indication that, yes, there might be a possibility of a rising temp taking place. It can also be from other reasons or factors that can also happen. Of course, when you are talking about moisture, we are talking about the presence of water, okay, in the form of vapor or water droplets or dampness, okay? And this can arise from leakages and cracks, okay, and then water intrusions within the building fabric in that aspect. And when we say capillary action is just the ability of the water, okay, drawing upwards, okay, by reason of force of gravity, okay, in the structure. And normally when we are talking about the groundwater that is from your substructure that is coming up or rising through your building, through the cracks, and then the water ingression that is coming up, okay. And then when we say efflorescence, of course, the efflorescence is those kind of salty particles that you see, you claim it in that way, but you see it either whitish or grayish, okay, that crystallizes and forms on the surfaces of your building envelope, be it the facade, be it interior or exterior, of course. And this comes about when the water, which is rising through capillary action or in the moisture or dampness, carry along with it the dissolved salt particles. And as it comes up, and then water vapor takes place in terms of evaporation, then the salt deposit actually, which cannot also evaporate, will have the deposits being on the walls and etc. And that is what is called efflorescence in that way. So when you see your building having or being exposed to some of these things, then actually there is that kind of a potential rising dam that is also taking place. Again, when we say condensation, condensation actually takes place within places where you have dampness, okay, or wet areas. And this actually is the contact of warm air, okay, on cold surfaces, okay, be it the moisture. So any time that you have this kind of moist air and that is warm, that comes into contact with cold surfaces, definitely you are going to have this kind of condensation in the form of water droplets. And a simple explanation will be, or example that I give, is when you are into your washrooms and then you are bathing with hot water, okay? Immediately you finish, you see this kind of a dense, okay, form of moist that has settled on the surfaces. And especially if you use the mirror, you will see that the mirror itself is blurred. But when you draw some lines, you will see actually what is behind it. These kinds of water particles or droplets is what is called condensation. And actually this also aids in the facilitation of a rising damp within the structure. So these are some of the terminologies that are being used to describe rising damp on the building terrain. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. Now, Godfred, my question to you is that, is it always the situation with buildings having the bottom, the base, develop rising damp, getting damp, or in the other instances you see rising damp take place in other areas of the building?
Thank you, Emmanuel. I'll say that has always been the notion. People do think that rising damp take place only on the substructure, that is the structure below ground level, but in most instances it's not. That isn't the case. You would have rising damp as well in your shower areas. I mean, when you have a bathroom, even on your first floors, you would have you happen to have a rising damp there. The reason being block itself. I mean, the building materials. When you take block, for instance, it's a porous material, and it absorbs water so quick. In the case that you have a shower area which is unwaterproof, or a shower area that you did not pay attention to the waterproofing, you intend to have water ingress on the wall. So having rising dams on the base, it's not always the case. Yes, it can really happen above ground level as well.
It can happen.
Yes, that's the wet areas.
That's the wet areas. I mean, we know water is a principal factor to causing rising damp. You would want to explain to us better, and the other factors one has to consider that possibly could lead to the development of rising damp.
Okay, thank you again. So, water, yes, it is a principal element when it comes to rising damp. Because a rising damp in itself, the definition is that it's a unwanted moisture in a structure, and no one would want those unwanted moisture in a structure. So in building up your dream house or in building that facility, you need to consider what we call a damp treatment. These comes in various forms. I mean to say, we have other product being DPMs, and we have other product that also crystallizes. But in choosing a right material to really remedy rising damp situation, I will urge that you go in for that is a crystalline material.
Okay.
Because the rising damp that you see on the surface of a structure, it doesn't only happen on the structure, it's within the structure itself. That is why you need something that can really crystallize to see pulse and capillary tracts to remedy those effects.
So on your screens, you've seen pictures of rising damp and the trouble it causes on most buildings. Now, let me come to you, Doc. Doc, my question also to you is that, yes, we understand water is a principal, factor when it comes to rising damp. You would want to explain that to us and also mention the other reasons why we see this development of late on most buildings.
Yeah, thank you. To add to what Godfrey was talking about in terms of water and its effect. Yeah, predominantly you are looking at places where it has to come into contact with the water itself, and in this case generating into moisture that actually finds its way through the pores and then cracks, and that rises. Okay, so you will see that rising damp can happen beneath the ground and then above the ground. So in the building terms, you are talking about superstructure and then substructure in itself. So in the substructure, we are dealing with places that are in close contact, okay, with the soil, okay, and then with water. So retaining wall areas, sub-basement and basements, okay, places that are below the ground, we are talking about even swimming pool areas and etc. Of course, when it comes to the superstructure, we are also talking about places that are into balconies where there's a potential of water falling and then staying a bit if you don't have adequate flow. So even at balconies, at porches, okay, even in the parapets, okay, when you have roof parapets, all these places have a potential of having the contact of water within that surfaces. And actually, these are places that you see them a lot. Of course, the ground level is where you find them a lot in terms of the ground floor and then around the buildings up to the sill level, because there's that constant, okay, contact with moisture and then water within the soil. So if you are talking about areas and you are talking about reasons, of course, water is a factor, but in some places you can also look at it in this way, that even the characteristics of your soil actually promotes rising damp. And that is very key. In places that have the absence of damp-proof causes and damp-proof membranes also have the potential of having the rising damp in itself. Okay, so you will see that there are even places where the moisture content is low, but by the mere fact of the way construction has taken place within that space, it actually increases the moisture content because of the way drainage has been channeled out of the space or within the space in itself. So you see that there's a whole composite systems when it comes to the causes, okay, of the rising damp. Yes, you are talking about of late, there have been a lot, okay, or prevalence of rising damp within building terrain. It is true, okay, because as we're growing up, we didn't see this kind of rising damp.
Exactly.
We saw it, yes, we saw it around waterlogged areas, especially. But nowadays, you find even on the hilltops, you find places that are dry, and yet still you are finding this rising damp. So it gives you another cause that it is not true. The perception has always been that when you build in the waterlogged areas, then definitely that is where you are going to have a rising damp. People have also built even within waterways, within water itself, and they are not experiencing the rising damp. So it means that there's something that is wrong that we are not doing rightly. And that one simple thing that we have not been doing is consultation, using the right professionals right from the start of your project. Okay, right from the start of your project. Even testing the soil that your building is going to sit on is very key. The engineer that you are going to employ, the architect who is going to even do the design according to the investigation that has gone on, so that it can actually mitigate some of these things, has not been done. If these things are disregarded, then definitely you are going to have problems in this way. And that is why I always say that when you look at the colonial buildings, okay, of old, and look at now our buildings, you see that there's a departure in terms of proper construction practices and ethics that goes into it. Even the material application, how materials are made and manufactured. Okay, you see a lot, okay, of inferior materials on the market. And this actually is contributing to some of these things. In addition to the wrong application of construction methods, okay, for example, how do you construct, okay, your ground floor slab, okay, after you have roofed your building? So you have a wall that sits right from the foundation up to the roof, and there's no barrier, there's no breakage, okay? And people call it this kind of a French, German construction, okay? There's a name that they used to call it,
yes,
whereby they want the land to settle within before they cast their floor. You are actually having that kind of a barrier eroded. And in that way, when there's a capillary action, it travels faster because there's an easy contact between the substructure and then the superstructure. This is one of the poor construction methods or techniques that is being used and actually is generating these kinds of promotion of rise and dump within.
So, Doctor, please hold on. Let's get this understood properly. Now you've mentioned, of course, water is the principal, cause, but you're also telling us about the materials used in recent times and even the practice, the methodology, how we go about with the building and the construction of these buildings and structures. And I'm going to help us unfold it one by one so vividly that our viewers can, comprehend and follow. So let's start it this way. Let's talk about the materials. Can you list some of the materials, if proper care or observation is not made, can contribute to this rising dam? You mentioned the soil. What are the types of soil?
For example, if you are building in a clayey site, okay, clay has the potential of retaining water, okay, retaining water within that structure itself in terms of the material. And so if you are building within this space, okay, and within the soil, then definitely you are dealing with a material that has a higher moisture content, that has the ability to retain water, okay, and moisture within it. In that sense, then your constant contact with water becomes very high because there's always a constant interaction between the moisture and then your foundation. In that way, you are promoting, okay, capillary action. When you don't have proper compaction, when you don't have proper material in terms of densation, okay, so you have your blockwork masonry, how were the blocks made, okay, to withstand? There are waterproofing materials in terms of even concrete blocks that you use for your foundation. Which ones did you use? And this is where it comes back to the professional. Who is supervising your work for you? Is it the mason who calls himself the architect, the contractor, the engineer, and everything? Okay, they know it all people. So at the end of the day, you didn't seek the right advice in order to know that the type of soil that you are building in, you need a particular densation of your material in order to withstand, okay, for example, capillary action, in order to withstand moisture attack, in order to withstand dampness. When these things are not done, definitely you may be building and using the same material that somebody used, okay, on a drier soil, okay, to that of yours. And you may think that yours is going to work the same way as his in that sense. In that way, definitely you are going to have a problem because all materials are prone, okay, to rise and damp, even timber.
Okay.
Okay, you saw in the display of your materials, even bricks in itself. If you don't have engineering bricks, definitely you are going to also have this kind of rise and damp that is taking place. So knowing the properties of materials and its qualities and where to apply is very key and very important. when you are dealing with rising
Now, Doc, let me add on to this. You know, when you are done with raising the footing, and in a bit you will see the foundation footing on your screen. When you're done raising the footing, normally they buy what we call laterite. Others call it red sand, and they use it for the hardcore filling, and even with the back filling. Tell us about this red sand or the laterite. What could have gone wrong to also contribute to rising damp, and even with the process, the hardcore filling and the back filling?
Okay, thank you. In fact, right from the foundation, even the laying of your footing and then putting your masonry work, okay, in terms of your foundation walls are very critical and very important, okay? Because all water that runs on your surface of your building facade or exterior has the potential of ending up at the foot, okay? That is at the foundation level, okay, in terms of the foundation footing. So how then do you ensure that there's minimal or contact or less water that drains off to the foundation footing? In that aspect, is where we advise that you should have a clear technique whereby even when you are, most people don't even plaster, okay, their foundation walls, and that is wrong, okay?
So let's have the footing picture again so that, Doctor, you can help explain with the picture better to us. Okay. Go on, Doctor.
Okay, so you see, this is your substructure. In fact, this thing is going to be filled up with hardcore material.
Yes,
okay?
That's the foundation.
Hardcore material, yes, in the foundation. So you will see that one mistake that people do is that immediately they do the foundation, then they do the backfill without necessarily plastering. And when they are coming to do the plastering or the render, they start from just an inch or 2 inches from the ground. They'll just dig a bit of it and then plaster from there. So you see that the foundation itself is exposed in terms of masonry, okay? And that is wrong. You are supposed to render or plaster right from the foundation footing up to, okay, the foundation wall before you cast your slab in itself. And I was talking about the soil composition in terms of hardcore material that you bring. We always say that don't use, many people, when they dig the foundation, they put the soil, that is the topsoil down there, and then later on they use that to fill and then add on to laterite material or even importation of other materials that they use, okay? If you are supposed to use materials, please refer to the standard or refer to your consultant in terms of engineer or the architect who will tell you exactly what kind of hardcore fill that you are supposed to use. If your hardcore fill has clay content, desist from it. That is one aspect, okay? So at times they will tell you that this thing is very expensive. In fact, the best is to use your sharp sand, okay, to fill.
Your sharp sand. So not the laterite we use.
Laterite, if you want to use your laterite, you have to use it carefully. There's a way of compacting, okay, and there's a way of determining the clay content within that laterite, okay? If, for example, your exterior foundation is secured enough and you don't have a high water table, then you are safe to use your laterite because then there is no way or there's a minimal contact where water is going to rise within, okay, your substructure into your hardcore fill material. But if you are building at a place where you already have a high water table, then it's not advisable to be using the laterite in that sense, because definitely you are going to harbor this kind of capillary action, which is higher when it comes to some of these materials, okay? And that by going to aid in the fastening of your rising damp effect in your building. So you should be careful as to what you are supposed to use as your hardcore material in that aspect.
Okay.
Topsoils, don't use it at all, okay?
So clearly the message is that make sure you involve or consult a professional during the process of the construction of your house. If you're looking for 2 or 3 bedrooms, then look no further. Call upon, that is Silver Star Properties. They have developed over 100 custom-built houses, all tailored for you. I mean, luxurious ones within a proper confine of a gated community with 24/7 security guaranteed, a high-speed internet connectivity, and above all, 3 recreational centers for yourself, your family during the leisure moment, and you get the experience to also boat on the water. So call on this number, that's 050-127-9287. 050-127-9287. Send us an email, viglo@silverstartowers.com. viglo@silverstartowers.com. For further inquiries, visit us, go to our website, www.silverstartowers.com. And again, my question for you today is this. Let me know, what do you think are some of the factors that cause rising dam? Also, share with me your story. If you are experiencing that, send me a picture. The experts are here. The brightest minds are here with us. They are going to help you on how to correct it so that you don't get to see it again and again. On this note, we take our first break. Stay with us. The show returns shortly. Thank you so much. You're welcome back to the Pyramid Show. We continue with our discussion. So Godfred, Doc has said a lot. He's mentioned to us the other factors, the materials and wrong practices leading to, that is, rising damp on our buildings. How would you advise that during the construction process, especially with the substructure, which is so much in contact with the water, where we get to have the backfilling with the red sand, even with the correct sand being used as hardcore or backfilling, how do you advise that we go about it?
Okay, thank you, man. All right, so I mentioned about this Zypex material. I mean, Zypex, we do have a range of products. I'll mention the products, then I'll come back to how to use these to solve these rising damp problems. So we do have Zypex admix. That is an admixture for a concrete. And we do have what we call Zypex concentrate. That comes in a powder. And mind you, all the Zypex materials, they are crystalline material. Yes, and we do have Zypex Modify, which is an enhancer. That is a second coat to the Zypex concentrate. It's also for waterproofing and rising damp arrest as well. So after your excavation for that dream house or that dream project, what you need to do is right from the footing, when you mix the concrete for the footing, you dose in your Zypex admix. That is a Zypex admix C1000 NF, and what it does is that it doesn't allow any water penetration. It doesn't allow moisture in your concrete. And as we mentioned earlier, Doc said it categorically that it's humidity in the concrete or in a structure that brings about these rising damp stuff. So the Zypex additive in your concrete do away any moisture in the concrete. And when you're about putting that foundation walls, that is a block work, that too, you mix the Zypex admixture for your mortar, for the chalking in between the block work. And after which you use the Zypex concentrate to apply. We do, the application is done in three ways. It's either you use the Bristol brush, or you apply by spraying on the walls, the peripheral walls of your entire wall. You spray, and once you get to, that is the oversight concrete, that too you use the Zypex admix C1000 and for the oversight concrete. Once that is done, and you after you fill with your hardcore material, that is the filling material in your substructure.
Yes.
Then you plaster, you render the peripheral of your foundation with the Zypex additive as well. That is a Zypex admix C1000 NF. After you backfill, and let me tell you this, and people go about, I'm not saying it's not a good practice though, they go about using this DPMs, that is a polythene sheet. After they fill, they do their hardcore filling.
What we call the black rubber.
The black rubber.
We shall be seeing it too.
Exactly. The black rubber they put on the entire the filling, of which they filled, they put their concrete on. It's not a bad.
It's not the ultimate.
Yes, it's not the ultimate. Zypex stand very tall when it comes to these rising dam, this capillary action thing. Zypex, I'll tell you, we have this brand going on. We call it No Equal. The Zypex, no material at all. Not that I work with the Zypex brand, so I'm promoting it. But Zypex, no other material matches up with Zypex when it comes to the crystalline industry. So the black rubber, what it does is that you can't have a full sheet to cover your entire foundation. Mm-hmm. You lap them on each other, and that lapping, if not care is not taken, if you don't engage, even if you should engage a professional, the chances of you punching the rubber, cause of you pouring your concrete, it's very high. And once the rubber is being punctured, you having these capillary action, water ingress seeping through that to settle beneath the oversized concrete, it's very high.
It's very high.
Yes, but with the Zypex material, its strength, unlike the membrane, that the strength only rely on the surface of the structure. The Zypex strength is within the concrete itself. It becomes part of it. So you puncture, you do anything, Zypex, it's still present in your structure.
Okay, so what he means ultimately, Zypex is the last man that cannot be, defeated. And let me help you understand how Zypex is done. So right from the excavation process, what you have to do is that get the Zypex concentrate. You mix that with the concrete. It stays, it becomes a one component with the concrete. You pour it. At the base level, it means that the water is completely cut off from climbing. Now, within the hardcore, where you pour in the red sand, possibly the sand on the advice of doctor, how do you break it from coming up? This is the trick. You smear or spread, the Zypex admix on the blockwork that you've constructed, and upon doing the hardcore filling, then you cast again. Okay, so when you are casting again, remember, you are going to add the concentrate in the concrete. And once you do that, you have a complete break of water possibly climbing your walls. Zypex is just not used for the constructions of buildings. It's used for the construction of bridges. It's used for the construction of basement. It's also used to protect and also prevent leakages from your swimming pools, what you call the manhole, the right word is a septic tank, and underground storage tanks. You're talking about upper height that storage tanks. You're talking about these polytime platforms. So go in for Zypex, especially when you have the deal with water. With Zypex, water becomes the prey. Without Zypex, your building will be the prey. So let me also announce that the WhatsApp lines, they are active, the SMS line. You can send us an SMS, a WhatsApp, and be part of the discussion that is ongoing here. On this note again, we take a short break. Thank you. We are back again. So in a few is Audrey Dushikafi with the interactive segment.
Thank you, Manuel. So today on our interactive segment, we're asking, what do you think could be the causes of rising damp in your building? So you can send pictures or you can share with us your thoughts or your concern on our WhatsApp number 0500180697. So you can also follow us on our socials, Twitter as the Pyramid_Show, Facebook 360mediagh.net, and on YouTube also. So our first comment coming in is Oyibo Watson from Achimanuebi in Kumasi. Does rising dam occur in a gravel land building? Second comment, what effect will constant damping resulting from rainfalls due to uncompleted upper floor have on the floor below? Can it lead to the carving of the floor or ceiling? That's from KK from Takoradi. Hi, I see some buildings with a certain black rubber separating the footing from the main building. What's the essence of that rubber and what is your advice? Coming from CK from Tamale. Very informative. Thank you. Thanks to your resource person, Godfred and Doc, for breaking down this construction problem to us and showing us its solution. The take-home message is that always consult experts when you are building. Coming from Eugene from Kumasi. So somebody is sharing a picture of his building, indicating the flakes on the building. Please, good afternoon, sir. Please, I'm facing the same challenge in my house and I need your help. Sure, we will help with the necessary information and treatment you need. I need more education on your Zypus cement product. Is the prevention or treatment expensive? Coming from Eugene from Kumasi. Please do plaster both the exterior and the interior of the fountain before filling with sand or gravel. Please you plaster both the exterior and interior of the fountain before filling with sand or gravel. That's coming from Ajiman from Domi Pillar 2. So you can keep sending us messages on our WhatsApp number 0500-180-697. That's all for the interactive segment.
Okay, so thank you very much, Audrey Dishikafui. Now let's quickly attend to a few of them so that we can have the phone line activated. Doc, one of the questions, and they are asking, do you have to render the inside, plaster the inside of the foundation footing and the outside as well? What do you have to say?
And no. Places where you have higher moisture content within the soil, then you need to plaster both the inside and then the outside. Okay, so you render both the interior foundation and then the exterior, in addition to even applying admixtures to it, okay, in terms of waterproofing wall in itself, okay. So many people think that it's expensive, and that is why, okay. And that is why I still go back to the olden times, okay? These are some of the practices that they did and for which we did not see, and therefore we think that this was how it was built. But yes, you see that those practices were there, where you are plastering or rendering both the foundation walls, okay, in terms of the outside and then interior walls, okay? So it is very important. Of course, if you have places where the moisture content is less, then you can decide, okay, that yes, I want to concentrate on the exterior walls alone in that aspect.
Okay. Doc, so let me come to Godfred. Godfred, the question about the cost treatment, how they can find you before we tackle the rainfall and other measures one can put in place to arrest this.
Okay, so I would say a survey disclosed that in an entire project, waterproofing takes only 1% of rising damp, waterproofing take only a percentage of that. So I don't think no one would like to forego that 1% and
of the entire cost of construction.
Exactly, and pay the hard way. So when you talk of cost, it's very relative. We are affordable. Once you come, we'll give you. We even have sort of a payment plan. You give us what you can, how you can pay it. That is with regards to the rise and damp treatment. Then we'll fit you in there. So we are very flexible.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Now, Doc, we've seen some people make effort to, arrest this defect by laying on stone plinth and terrazos. Sometimes you see the construction or the laying of tiles at the base of these walls just to correct it, but yet you see the redevelopment at the top of these tiles and terrazos that have been put in place. That is my first question to you. How come after that procedure we are still seeing that? Then my second question will be, what are some of the measures a builder, homeowner, a contractor can put in place that can mitigate, avoid these development from happening in the future on their property?
Okay, if you permit me, let me use just 1 or 2 minutes to address some of the questions that came up. In the interactive.
Yes. We do not have much time, but briefly.
Okay, for example, those pictures that I saw, immediately what you see that there's no apron around the building.
Apron.
And actually, so you see that the soil, yes, is direct contact to the render in itself. And therefore, definitely the rainwater itself will be constantly having that kind of interaction at the base, okay, of the wall. And that might be one of the major causes of that. So they should take care of that. And then you see some of them also have flowers, okay? And if you have flowers around your building, okay, that's just close by your wall, then definitely you are inviting water, okay, into your building fabric in terms of moisturizing, because you are watering the plant every day, okay? So you see that the soil around that space or that facade itself is always wet. And in that aspect, that is what is going to happen. If you want to have a flower bed, it should be after the apron. In that way, you are protecting your building from that. So that is what I would say. And then the expensive, how expensive? It's like if you want to look at it in the expensive way, then look at the damage that is going to cause your building or the effect that you are going to have. You can compare and then you see which one is more expensive. That is what I'm going to say about that quickly. And then one was talking about the floor slab. When rain falls on it, what is the effect that it's going to have on the ground floor? If your upper floor is not well vibrated and well compacted, definitely you are going to have moisture passing through the pores, okay? Looking at the way we pour our slabs, okay, without vibration, definitely they are going to have some pores. Yeah. And that is why you need these kinds of admixtures in order to consolidate all the pores that will be in place. So that will be it. Now you are talking about...
Thank you very much, Doctor. Please hold on there. At this moment, the phone lines are activated, so you can also call and be part of the discussion. So, Doc, please go on with what you were saying.
Yeah, quickly, for anybody that intends to build, anybody that is planning to build, or you are in the process of building, you have to ask yourself certain questions that, have I actually consulted a professional? Have I done a soil test? Okay. Sometimes you can even do a simple visual test to know exactly the moisture content within the excavated material that you have. Have I adequately consulted professionals in order to have my building secure right from the foundation stage? That is very important. Now, if you are facing some of these challenges, the first thing that you do is to go back to the consultant, okay? So that the specialist will come and do investigation, conduct thorough inspection. It is when you are able to identify the sources of water contact to your structure, that is when you'll be able to prefer the solution to it. Without that, you will be doing surface dressing. So the first thing is that identify the source of the water contact to your building or your structure. In that way, you'll be able to have a kind of holistic solution to that aspect. And then when that has been done, that is when then you'll be able to repair and then install, okay? Repair, if it's cracked, repair it first before you can decide to add your admixtures or your chemicals to protect it in terms of your waterproofing material. This is very important. Again, improve your ventilation. There are many design defects, okay, in our structure. And nowadays, when people are going for this kind of glazing and everything, okay, so there's a heat buildup within our spaces. There's no adequate ventilation. You have rooms that have no cross ventilation. You have only one side that has a window. In that aspect, you are generating heat, moisture within that space. And as it builds up, definitely you are going to have this kind of dampness and moisture rising taking place. Your wet areas in terms of leakages and then plumbing fixtures, be careful with that. Nowadays, people are putting everything within their concrete and their masonry walls. Okay?
So with people found putting everything in their concrete and walls, I will hold on with Doctor as I go on to the phone. Hello, Samuel from Markesim. Hello, Samuel.
Yeah.
Hello, Samuel, welcome to the show. Talk to us, please.
Okay, I was asking the product you are talking about. Can any national use it, or you need a professional or somebody who know about it?
I need a professional.
Okay. Thank you very much, Samuel. So your question will be addressed. I would make Dr. land before I come back to you. Doctor?
Yeah, so I was talking about plumbing works and people thinking that everything has to be buried. If it has to be buried, it has to be buried well. You should have well-insulated pipes, okay? Because you have pipes that are carrying different forms, okay, of water, for example. You have hot water pipes and then you have cold water pipes, okay, in that aspect. You have all these pipes that have been buried within concrete, and these pipes have joints. And these joints are joined with adhesives that has an expiry, okay, in terms of its duration of effectiveness. So when this expires, there's always going to be leakages within, okay, wherever you buried that pipe. So if you don't isolate these pipes in terms of having a proper duct for it, so that when there's even a leakage, it has a place of moving without necessarily affecting your structure, be it a structural member or even a partition in that aspect. So always I advise people that you should have a well-designed plumbing system such that you insulate your pipes Again, isolate your plumbing work such that when there is any damage, you are able to repair immediately and easily, okay? And not having the force to break, okay, a part before you are able to effect those kinds of.
Thank you very much, Doctor, with these good submissions you made this afternoon. Let me talk to Ibrahim here in Accra. Hello, Ibrahim.
Yeah, hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Yeah, and thank you also for this wonderful education, and then thank you to your research as well.
Yeah.
Okay, please, I have a quick one. When they were all speaking, they usually talk about when the building is about to start, when you're about to start the construction. Okay, so this is a case where the building is already constructed, and then you have this rising down all over your place. So you want the clarification and then the education to in that regard on how to solve this. But I realized most of the question was about before you start the construction. So this is the case. The body is already constructed, and then you are facing start.
Okay.
What do you do?
Thank you very much. So you take that off, Wilfred. You start from Samuel, then you answer Ibrahim.
Okay. So from Samuel, he was asking, can anyone buy the Zypex material and apply it? I'll say no. You need a professional to really do the installation for you. And once you engage the service of a professional, which is a Zypex installers, it comes with a warranty. It's a minimum 15 years. So that is to answer for the first one. And
that's Samuel.
Samuel, okay. So I'll move on to the existing Ibrahim. Ibrahim mentioned that he has an existing building. Yes, we do do the installation on existing buildings too. So that we'll have to come to the site and have it properly examined why the water ingress it's happening. Yes, in this case, the solution has always been we do an excavation around the peripheral of your structure, then we take off the existing rendering, that is a plastering. Then we'll do the Zypex installation on it for you. Yes, that is so you have a solution to your
okay. So for those who have built and seen this trouble effect,
I would like to add this to it. Yes, Zypex, we do have another treatment as well. That is the injection one. It's called Freestec. All these products are based on crystalline technology. What it does is once you apply the solution, it goes into the pores and capillary tract of the structure. Mm-hmm. Yes, because this rising dam that we are talking of, it happens within its capillaries.
And the porosity of its element.
Yes, so if you have it, blocked, then you wouldn't have any water ingress.
Hello, Christopher.
Hello.
Hello, Christopher.
Hello.
Yes, from our front planes, please go ahead.
All right, please. I just want to know if we can use graphiato pen.
Okay, to correct this defect. Okay, go for it.
Okay, so with a graphiato defect too, it doesn't solve rising dam. No, it doesn't. It doesn't solve water ingress. What is it? Is that it covers. It doesn't make you see the effect of the dampness on the wall.
Okay,
but you give it a period of 2-3 years, you have the graphiato detaching from your existing wall, all because you do have that moisture within your structure, which you didn't treat, you didn't pay attention to. So in effect, the graphiato will come off the wall.
Okay.
I'll add to this. People as well do this to retrofit these problems. They take off the existing plaster, then they reinstate with either terrazzo or tiles. It's the same way.
Even with stone plates, stones at the bottom.
Exactly. That as well doesn't remedy this situation. I'll say it over and over again. It is happening within the structure. It's not only on the surface. So you need a material that can really go to seal all these pores and capillary tract that the water ingress travels.
Okay. Now, Godfred, we get the message. Your contact where we can find Zypex.
Okay, so Zypex is located at, on the Jones Nelson Street at Dabraka. We're not far from Coral Paint. And the numbers I have...
That's 0243-426171, 0243-426171, or 0208-110328, 0208-110328. Again, even after the show, you still want to reach out to Zypex, you can still send us a WhatsApp 0500-180-697, 0500-180-697. So, Doc, I'll come over to you for your final words, 30 seconds as we wrap up the show.
Okay, thank you. One thing that I would say is that rise and damp has a lot of effects, okay, both to the human occupant and then the structure itself. So don't treat it lightly. It has health implications, okay? Most of the respiratory diseases that we are finding, you see people who all of a sudden, they don't have this kind of history within their families, and yet immediately you see these kinds of things that are happening, okay, even in tuberculosis and etc. Major respiratory diseases are born out of this rise and damp, okay, because they generate bacteria and mold, okay, within the walls and on the walls. Again, allergies are also born out of this. If you're not careful, some of these things can actually be fatal to you in terms of your sensitivity to these kinds of bacteria and molds, etc. So be very careful. In addition to weakening your structure, even having a lesser value placed on your building in itself, these outside the discomfort that you are going to have in that way and the cost of repair to damage. So treat it very, very well and involve professionals.
Okay,
always,
Doc.
I will tell you, involve professionals.
Thank you, Doc. I'll pick the final words from Godfred. Godfred, your final words, 30 seconds, then we wrap up the show.
Okay, so I'll touch on the some of the projects that Zypex we've worked on. So first, I'll go to the Oxford Street Mall. It is a 3-level basement, and the whole basement has the Zypex additive in there. One Airport Square, Kempinski Hotel, there is Marriott Hotel, AFC Mall. So, and I'll say, when you think of waterproofing or rise and damp solution, think Zypex all the time, right?